Talking about the events unfolding in Manchester overnight, we're looking at how that horrifying attack has affected us. Here in Bristol and Cardiff, 22 people confirmed dead, along with the suicide bomber, after that explosion at the Manchester Arena last night. Another 59 were injured at the Ariana Grande concert. Now, vigils are being held across our two cities, with one in Cardiff earlier. Let's cross, though, to Ed Carter, who's at the gathering in Bristol this evening, just at the fountains in the city centre. Ed, I believe things are just coming to a close now. What's been happening there?
It's been quite a sight down here, actually, Steve. Unfortunately, did just miss it, but there was a ring of so many people just next to the fountains, holding hands in a moment of silence around some flowers that are just hanging, just been laid down here in the middle of the ground. A number of people hanging around. Tears have been shed here today in memory of those who have lost their lives and been injured in the attack at Manchester Arena. I'm just going to come over here now to Will. Now, you're pretty much one of the people who organised this entire thing, and you've kind of brought to fruition the feeling of, I don't know, the feelings that everyone has been feeling is something quite sort of physical and raw, really, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was all organised very last minute. We just sort of organised this because we saw no one else was, and you know, I think when you have a horrible tragedy like this, it's important to get people together, you know, to come together in the streets, visibly active, say, you know, we're not going to give in to fear, we're not going to give in to hatred, and you know, to express our support for the victims of this horrible attack. People have died and people are struggling for their lives in hospital at this very moment. So.
And what's it been like here today? I mean, Bristol is quite well practiced at holding vigils nowadays, aren't they? I mean, we've seen quite a few in here up at College Green for similar events in the past. But obviously this has been sort of hitting home, particularly half people, because of the number of young people involved. I mean, how has that made you and everyone else here feel?
Yeah, well, sort of terrified like I was. I said when I woke up this morning, I woke up in the early afternoon because I'd been out myself last night. You know, I'm a young person, I love going out for music and that kind of thing, and you know, it's sort of more horrifying that these are so many young people just having a good time that they're hit by this incident. And I think that's the reason they've done it, really, isn't it? They're trying to scare us that we could be any one of us in this similar kind of incident. But the main thing to remember is that these attacks, even when they do happen, they're so horrific, and you know, they hit us so hard. They are very few and far between, and our actual risk of suffering terrorism is very small. And you know, to hold on to that and not let them let us give in to fear and hatred and division.
I mean, are these sorts of instances becoming sort of all too often an occurrence, or are they something that, you know, that it's quite good to see after something like this? What do you think?
Well, it's mixed, isn't it? At the same time, it's all too often an occurrence that we're having to have a vigil at all. But it does bring me solace just to see people, you know, come together in the spirit of solidarity, to see so many people that they want to come together and they want to hold vigils, and you know, just support for ordinary people suffering these horrible attacks. That's, you know, really strange things to take away.
And I've been out in the streets today talking to people. I've somebody who just come into town on business as far away as New Zealand, still equally as rocked by the attacks that happened up in Manchester. These things do have a global impact, don't they? I mean, it feels very local here today, but it goes around the world, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, as we've seen the cycle of violence in the last few years, they're in many ways fueled from what's happening in the Middle East, has sort of spread. These, you know, they said they do the war on terror to make us safer, and it seems over the last 10 years to make everywhere much less safe, isn't it? But yeah, it's sort of for a global community now. These attacks are felt on a global stage. So yeah, just.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Will. So as I've said, we've just seen a massive circle of people holding hands around flowers that have been laid in the middle of the ground here. I just want to come through here. You can see slightly more clearly what has been going on here. Some candles laid out to remember the 22 that did, it's reported, have lost their lives as a result of the attack.
Very poignant
in
that,
Manchester.
Ed, with the hashtag Stand Together and the 20.